everybody's heard the urban legends of the Appalachian Mountains and the disappearances and the creatures, and there's just such a rich history along the Appalachian Trail that I thought I could just connect all these great elements into this really epic story.
Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 481. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're honored to have back with us, the internationally revered and two-time Academy Award Contest semifinalist and writer, Jon Dexter.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So this was exciting. So before we started the show, we looked it up. You were on a little over a year ago. You were on back in August of 2024, and you were talking about promoting your Dime Store Detective Kickstarter. And now you have a full collection that's, as of this recording, it is available on Kickstarter, and it is issues 1 through 5.
Correct. Yep. It was actually signed by a publisher this year, Source Point Press. So it's really exciting to get a publisher. It's very difficult to, as any small indie creator will attest to. So it's really exciting. It's a great supernatural detective mystery that is just about funded as we record this. I'm 94%, so we're pretty close to getting over the edge here.
Right. And so for our listeners and viewers out there that might have missed last year's episode, can you give people a little bit of a background on what Dime Store Detective is all about?
Yeah, it's a supernatural crime mystery. So Detective Donald Mackinder, whenever the pages, when you check out the comic and then the Kickstarter, whenever the pages are in color, it's when we're in the present when Detective Mackinder is on a hunt for a serial killer, somehow connected to his family of moonshiners back in 1981. And when we flash back, we go back 40 years ago, and the pages are in the sepia tone, which we'll see if once you scroll down some more, that goes back and forth. So there's no confusion, and it has a really cool, I think, noir to look to it, because it's the story's kind of a love story to the old pulp, hard boiled novels of old. But it's, so in 1981 in North Georgia, these two brothers, 5 generations of moonshiners, this gang connected to the Dixie Mafia, who were actually a real mafia back then, try to push the two brothers out of business by violent means. And the two brothers, they're salt of the earth guys in the Appalachia. They're not going to go down without a fight. And then in the course of the beginning of the story, the two brothers go into the Appalachian Mountains and find this hidden cave. And in this cave is this evil entity that's been trapped for hundreds of years by the Cherokee. And the brothers, of course, being in their 20s, ignore the Cherokee's hieroglyphics that are on the cave and accidentally release this evil entity that's been trapped there, and it possesses the brother. And then a lot of course, blood and violence happens. And somehow in the present, while Detective Mackinder is investigating this serial killer, there's kind of these call signs that somehow this evil entity is connected to this serial killer, and we've got to kind of uncover what it could be. And there's also this cult operating of the rich and powerful in Georgia that it's calls to this evil entity, and one day the fire answers, and then all hell kind of breaks loose as well. So it's got a lot of great, you kind of got the Epstein Island kind of feel vibe to it. You've got, that supernatural element to it with the evil entity. And then you've got this really cool mystery with the Detective Mackinder trying to kind of coming to grips with, having to finally kind of, confess to himself that his uncle wasn't just this, violent person, but actually was possessed by an evil entity that he has no idea, how this came to be. So it's got a great mystery to it, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people that are, say it's their favorite indie comic right now. And this collection will catch you up to speed 1 through 5, because it's 9 issues in all. And this is kind of bookends with a really cool reveal that I won't give out yet, that kind of ties things together. And then we kind of connect the past with the present as we go along.
Now, what was some of your inspiration for this book?
So years ago, I had read this article back when we were hunting for Osama bin Laden. I should say we, the Marines, were hunting for Osama bin Laden, and they said there was caves in Afghanistan that were so dense they were unexplored. And I thought, wow, that's amazing that these hundreds of thousands of years caves that are so dense that no one's even seen them. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if the Marines get ambushed in the out there, and they go into this cave and find this evil entity. And that was kind of the story. And then it kind of goes back and forth. And this was probably a good 8 years ago that I wrote it. And then the detective comes and he becomes an LA cop. And one of the Marines he finds out is the mayor's son who's been possessed by this evil entity. So I wrote that set for a while. It was good, but I wasn't quite happy about it. It's if you're going to invest your time and your money, then you're going to want it to be, the greatest story ever. So then I had heard about the Dixie Mafia and this father and son who the father was this murderer, hitman, drug runner, about as worst you could get. But the son, never faltered in his love for his father. And I had never really heard about the Dixie Mafia much other than Walking Tall. If anybody's familiar with the true story of Buford Pussert, the Dixie Mafia, and all that. And I just thought, God, how is it nobody's ever wrote a story about these guys, the Dixie Mafia? And it was kind of like the New York Mafia, but of the South. Really all the same violence. And so I thought, wouldn't it be great to have this kid who just idolized his dad? His dad is convicted of all these murders, and we'll find out as the story goes if his father did it or not. And so that was kind of a great connection, I thought, to taking place in North Georgia. And everybody's heard the urban legends of the Appalachian Mountains and the disappearances and the creatures, and there's just such a rich history along the Appalachian Trail that I thought I could just connect all these great elements into this really epic story. And of course, who isn't fascinated with the whole, people of power and the rich and powerful and having their dirty deeds that goes on under our noses that are, kept secret. And this detective is really a maverick detective. He doesn't, kowtow to anybody, kiss the brass ring. He goes out and does the work. So kind of like one man against City Hall. So it's just, I believe it's a really fascinating story. And I would say, I'd almost give a money back guarantee that you would just love Dumpster Detective if you gave it a shot.
Because in a way, as you're describing it, it seems to be like multiple genres all at once. It's a
Yeah.
detective thing. It's a pulp comic. It's like science fiction. It's horror. It's all kinds of things kind of merged into one.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I've always been a fan of kind of taking two genres and melding them. That way, as the story goes along, there's no lulls in the story. You're building up to this mystery, and then instead of kind of, working yourself way back down, then you have this other just takes you by surprise, this other genre that comes together. I think it's a lot of fun to write. And, I think people really enjoy it when you don't just stick to the same, narrative of, no juxtaposition, this linear story to have something where you're working yourself up in this mystery, and then it's like, oh my God, there's this cult of the rich and powerful. There's this evil entity that. So now we get into the metaphysical realm of storytelling. It's you've got it's just a very unique story where you're not just on this, okay, it's a detective mystery. We've seen them all, there's nothing new under the sun. Well, now we've got this evil entity in this detective who really is loyal to his father and has to try to prove to the town, who's of course, because the Moonshiner War in my story of 81 was, the most notorious event in the city, in the county's history. And in this Detective Mackinder, the main character, he's kind of had that on his back, that monkey on his back. His family have just been, deluged with hate and, all the evil and violence that went along with his family. And here he becomes this detective to try to kind of clear his family name and a lot of other elements that you don't want to give away.
So what would you say is what's some of the feedback you've gotten that was surprised you?
And honestly, I'm not trying to toot my own horn by any means. I'm really excited and humbled that so many people have said it's their favorite comic book. And one writer, one podcast host, I'm not going to name names, but said that I was the best writer in any comics. I'm not saying that he said it, not me, but so it was just really great that people have really enjoyed, and every Kickstarter that I've ran for Dumpster Detective has gained more backers, which is great. And it was able to get signed by a publisher. And there's a very small percentage of writers that their stories, their comics can get signed by a publisher. So I think it's a testament that this is a great story, and people will really enjoy it if you give it a chance.
What was part of it because you said it's going to be 9 issues. So has it all been written out so far?
Oh yeah. I wrote it. I usually go for a couple years and just let the story build and take notes, and then it's just a fury of writing. So I actually wrote Dumpster Detective in a month, all 9
Wow.
issues. And then, of course, you write it, and then you rewrite it, and then you rewrite it, and then you rewrite it and rewrite it. So it's a month of writing the story, and then years of rewriting it to get it as good as possible.
Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us. Did Detective Mackinder, did he go in any directions as you were drafting drafting out the script? Did he go in any directions that kind of surprised you that you weren't planning on?
Not really. I know how I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be that, that old Georgian, person that tells all these, could be whoppers, I love those people, they sit on their porch, their big bellies, and they say, they talk and just have these rich stories of the history of Georgia. And, I'm talking this story takes place in Athens, Georgia, close to Atlanta. And I just love that old, those guys that could just tell a story and keep you riveted. So he knows the history because he's grown up here, and the notoriety of his family. So that really didn't change. The ending changed, which really surprised me. I had one because when I don't know, most writers, you start with the beginning, then you go to the ending, and then you fill it all in at the beginning, and it ended up changing. I changed the direction of the story, which just came out much better.
What were some of the things that you're excited for people to kind of discover about the story when they pick up the first graphic novel?
I think people are going to really love the fact that the present is in color, and then whenever we flash back, it's in that sepia tones that they can see on the Kickstarter when I show their preview pages. I think people will appreciate that, and the sepia tones really have that old feel to it of the old pulp, and the story is kind of a love story to the old pulp. Not so much the stories as the aesthetics, the cover art. You have the detective with a female that's scantily clad, and this crazy professor that's got the biocle and stuff. And I just love those old dime store novels, the aesthetics of them. So that's one thing I think people really appreciate. But also just this original story that is going to really surprise people. I can almost promise you've never read anything like this before. There's not another one like it on the shelf. It's very original, and it'll, like I said, every issue has a really great cliffhanger, and unfortunately people are going to read the last issue and really have a cliffhanger because it all kind of ties everything together. But the 6th issue is being drawn as we speak. So I'm hoping that this can really catch fire now that I've got a publisher, now that Alpha Dogs, we can talk about it later, is going to be distributed through Lunar, and hopefully I can broaden my readership, because I've been doing it for 4 years now, and it's just been me, promoting. And as anybody will tell you, it's really tough on your own. And now that I got a publisher, it's really going to kind of hopefully be a Wi-Fi signal to my work.
How long does it take you to get an issue produced then? Is it 2 a year now, or?
Well, I at the very beginning, and then I was able to, I kind of, as the series gained popularity, I do 2 of Alpha Dogs and 2 of Dime Store Detective a year. So I'm doing 4 a year, and hopefully, knock on wood, once if this kind of catches fire and gets more popular, because they're all written out already, I can push them out even faster. So that's my goal, is to get the whole story done in 2 years. That's my goal.
Well, because you have not only have Dime Store Detective, but we also talked last time about also like Alpha Dogs, and you also have Space Cruising. So those are your 3
Yeah,
titles.
yeah. Alpha Dogs is currently on pre-order through Lunar, um, uh, distributed, published by Source Point Press, distributed through Lunar. You can actually get it right now on Amazon, Walmart.com. But I'm begging anybody out there to, ask your LCS, your local comic book shop, to carry Alpha Dogs through Lunar, the graphic novel. It's issues 1 through 5. It's a great story as well. It's about this dog that has a pit bull who has the power to heal from any wound. He also has a heightened strength and intelligence. Him and his owner are on the run for mercenaries that are trying to kidnap him to manipulate his powers. And then his owner, who's lived an incredibly lonely life protecting their dog, divulges the secret of his powers to a new boyfriend. But little does she know, he already knows of the dog's power and has created this formula that once in possession of his blood, he can create his own dogs with their own super abilities. So it's kind of like X-Men meets Homeward Bound, I guess is a good way to describe it. But it's got a lot of heart. It kind of deals with themes of, prejudices against dogs as well as people based on reputation. So the kind of the backstory of the genesis of it is, we had lived in a town that outlawed pit bulls, and we had a pit bull mix, and we weren't going to get rid of our dogs, so we moved. And that inspired me to create this story about this dog that's feared by the public because of his breeding size, but he has a big heart, kind of like, your Casper the Friendly Ghost, kind of theme, where he helps people and is just a fearless dog for his owner, and he's unfortunately maligned by the public because he's this big pit bull.
So basically, it seems as though you're going through at least 2. It looks like you're going through about maybe like 2 issues a year for this.
Yep.
So if you have 4 issues left for Dime Store Detective, so it should be, the entire series should be done by 2027 then.
Yep. That's the goal. And like I said, I'm hoping that now that it can, in mid 2026, Dime Store will be distributed through Lunar, and they only do graphic novels. So I'm hoping that I can get a lot of people, it can really get popular, and I can push them out faster, because I've got Space Cruising I'm trying to do as well. And my Western called The Weeping Trees, which was a 2-time semifinalist in the Academy Awards. They put on a screenwriting contest. It was a 2-time semifinalist. I thought I was going to get it produced, but it was unfortunately like 99% of screenplays never got off the ground floor. So that's another one I'd love to do as well. So I've been writing since I was 15. So I've got plenty of stories out there that I'd love to turn into comics. It's just, money's tight, and I'm still trying to build a readership.
Could a kid read this, or is that more, if this is more for like a
It's
PG
definitely more
13
adult.
or
I mean, it's been a long
adult?
time since I was a kid, and nowadays they the stuff kids are exposed to nowadays. I would say probably 13 they can watch. I mean, there is some swear words in it. The worst as far as nudity is a woman's butt is on there once. So I mean, it's not like it's anything not safe for workplace. I don't write comics like that. I don't think you're a writer. I think you're just trying to. I mean, whatever. That's what sells. But I'm more into telling a story, not doing that other stuff.
People want to learn more about you and your work. Where's the best place they could go to?
Well, of course, the Kickstarter would be great, and in the Kickstarter you can go back and watch old trailers from the previous issues. The trailers are amazing. I got a great team that puts them together. I'm on X at Real Alpha Dogs. I'm on Facebook. There's also a Jon Dexter Comics on Facebook too group, and I'm on I'm Instagram at alpha_dogs_comic.
Listen, you're going to have to come back on again then, John, once you have your whole Dime Store Detective series out.
Absolutely, yeah. And if hopefully, if you aren't too sick of me yet, I'm going to be launching Alpha Dogs issue 6 in February. So,
Wow, okay. It's like
yeah,
every few months you're doing something.
I'm trying to get them out there. I'm trying to get through this because once there's a lot, like I said, it was all written a few years ago. So I'm really trying to bust them out, because I really believe that once people kind of catch on, that they're really going to enjoy the series.
Right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jon. It was great catching up.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you having me on and carving out some of your time for me.